Hey everybody, Brian from Innisfil Creek Honey, down in our backyard in beautiful Barbados. Continuing our series on beekeeping, a hobby beekeeping or backyard beekeeping in Barbados. We put together our beehives. They're still sitting over there curing and drying. I couldn't find an outer cover or an inner cover on the island. They didn't have any for sale at the NCC. That's the National Conservation Commission. It's the government body that helps small farmers start up and carries a little bit of equipment. So they didn't have any outer covers or inner covers there. Scrounging around the property, I found a old sheet of 3/4 inch plywood behind the shed. It's a little bit dirty, but we're going to take that 3/4 inch plywood and we're going to turn that into a combination outer cover, inner cover. So it'll just be one cover on top. I'm not doing inner and outer. It's going to be one cover on top of the beehive. That'll be the inner cover and the outer cover. So follow along and I'll walk you through the steps on turning that old crusty piece of plywood into a outer cover, inner cover. Anyways, follow along. So here's our piece of plywood. It's about 3 feet by 3.5 feet in dimensions. It's a 3/4 inch piece of plywood. Structurally, it's still pretty good. It is a little bit dirty. I found it beside the shed there. It's probably been sitting outside for a few years. The first thing we need to do is take this piece of plywood and scrub all the stuff off. So I'm going to set this down and scrub all the debris off the outside of the plywood. Make sure we have it good and clean, or as clean as we can get it. And then I'm going to let it sit out in the sun and make sure it's dried completely so that there's no moisture in there. So it's nice that the sun's nice and warm here. So I'm going to clean it off there, get it sat out in the sun, and get it dried. So we got our piece of plywood pretty much cleaned off. It's dried out really well in the sun. And we need to turn this into a outer inner cover. So I'm not building the traditional inner and outer cover. I'm going to build one cover for the top of the hive. A lot of my hives at the in Ontario, in my commercial operation, a lot of my hives have what they call migratory covers. And a migratory cover is a cover that is a inner and an outer cover. It's just one single cover goes on top of your hives. And most commercial beekeepers, that's what they use. They don't use an inner and an outer cover. So I'm going to modify that slightly. I'm going to make a outer cover, inner cover that is the exact dimensions of the lid of the hive. So I pulled out one of the hive bodies here. And really when you think about it, to cover this lid to make sure that rain doesn't get inside this. I don't have to worry about snow. I don't have to worry about wrapping it for winter or anything like that. All I have to do is make sure that the lid stays on this thing and the rain doesn't get in. So what I'm going to do is make the outer cover the same dimensions as the top of the beehive. So I have my tape measure here. We're going to measure the top here. So because these are American boxes, they're skinnier, or the wood's thinner than Canadian boxes. So they're only 3/4 inch wood instead of 7/8 inch wood. So the top of the box is going to be slightly smaller. The dimensions of the whole box are going to be slightly smaller on the outside dimensions than what we are in Canada. The inside dimensions will be the same. So for the bee space and to make sure it holds 10 frames, the inside dimensions all that matters. You could, for all purposes, build your beekeeping boxes out of 2x4s or anything you wanted to give as thick of an outside wall as you wanted. So to measure the outside of the box and figure out how big our lid has to be, I'm just going to pull it up here, and we're at American measurements, 16 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sixteenths will bring me right to there. I'm going to come out a little bit wider, so it's a little bit wider, like a 1/16 of an inch wider. So I'm going to come out to 3/8, so 16 and 3/8 that way. And the lengthwise is 20 inches. So I'm going to come 16 3/8 by 20 inches just to make it easy for my brain. And I'm going to cut out of this square of wood 2 pieces, because I have 2 beehives, 2 pieces of wood that are 16 3/8 by 20 inches. I also went into the beside the shed and I found this nice piece of, they call it green heart or purple heart. It's a quite expensive wood here, but it's just a little sliver I found that I'm never going to use. So I'm going to cut the inside shims. If you ever looked at an inner cover, it has that little bit of a shim on the inside of it. That shim is 3/8 of an inch approximately. And that shim allows your outer cover top to sit off the frames 3/8 of an inch, giving the bee space to the bees so that they can climb up over top of the frames and back down. So I'm going to first cut the pieces for the tops. So 2 pieces, 16 3/8 by 20 inches. And then we'll be back and we'll talk about the shims we're going to place underneath and we'll cut those. So I'll be back in a second. Well, that was a little harder than I thought. Nice and easy to cut the plywood with a skill saw. Quite difficult cutting a 3/8 inch piece of wood off of the side of a little tiny skinny board though, with a skill saw. One of those things, didn't have a table saw here. Have a skill saw, didn't have a table saw. I'm not about to go buy a table saw to make a couple cuts. So use the skill saw. A little difficult, but I got them good enough. A few of them are a little bit wavy, but they'll fit in well and make my my rim quite well. Any little deviations in them, the bees love to fill gaps with propolis, so that should work well. So how this is going to work, so I've cut twice as many of this because I have 2 lids, but these shims will go, I've cut it so one goes on each side of the board like this. Then we have a back piece that goes in the middle here at the back to seal off the back. Then I have 2 short pieces at the front, and those 2 short pieces allow for an upper entrance. One thing I'm not sure, I always think ventilation's fantastic, necessary in Canada because of our I guess our heat fluctuations throughout the season. Allows for hot air to escape in the spring, summer, and then cool, damp air to escape in the winter. In Barbados, you're not going to have that issue. You're going to have the heat. So in my mind, the upper entrance will be very beneficial here because it'll allow the bees to circulate air through the hive on those hot days where it gets above 34, 35 degrees once in a while. Also, being in Barbados, I don't have my pneumatic staple gun. I'm also not going to go out to the hardware store and buy, 20 nails to put this together. So what I'm going to do is use some wood glue. I'm going to get some sandpaper I have and just scuff the edges up nice to give a nice, smooth, clean area. And then I'm going to glue these strips down on the lid. And then we have those beautiful cinder blocks over there. I'm going to set them on top of the strips as they dry to act as clamps to glue the strips down to the plywood and clamp it together. I'm pretty sure that'll glue everything or connect everything quite well. And then I'll give it a couple coats of good paint so it'll glue everything together well. So let me go ahead and do that. I'll put you aside here, and when I'm done, I'll come back to you and show you the finished product. So we got the outer covers all stuck together. So those little sticks of wood I've put on top of the boards there, glued them down nicely, and then I've layered a whole bunch of cinder blocks on top of them to hold them down until the glue cures. I don't have clamps. I'm not going to go buy nails. So that's my option that I'm using. Living on a tropical island or being on a tropical island and dealing with the constraints of what they have and the cost of what they have, I think you have to do what you can to try to do the things that you want to do. Anyways, I'm going to let them sit. The instructions on the glue say you can't stress the joint for 24 hours, so I'm done for the day. It's been a strenuous, hard day. I'm going to relax for the rest of the day. Nice glass of iced tea, enjoy the weather, play with my dogs, maybe mow the lawn, something like that. Anyways, everybody have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow when we unveil the finished product here. And there we go. We have a inner outer cover. So you look at it, it looks pretty much similar to a inner cover, except for there's no hole in the center. It's a lot thicker. There's my upper entrance. And then the way it's going to work is it just sits on top of the hive. So we set that on top of the hive as a lid. It has the upper entrance in it. It covers the top. It's about 1/8 of an inch larger on all sides. So the water will drip and run off. I'm going to paint it really, really well. So I'll put 2 or 3 coats of paint on it. Because it's on the surface, a lot of water could sit on it. Might put 3 coats on the top, just to seal it up nice and good. And then we have a lid. So I'm going to paint that up, get it all together, and set the hives up. We'll let you have a look what they're going to look like. See you in a bit. Hey everybody, back again. We just finished painting our outer covers. And this is a combination inner cover, outer cover. So it's one cover. It's going to serve the function of both an inner and an outer. And it's going to go on top of the hive. So there's our hives all set up. And the way they work is we set them on top of the hive. They're now protecting the hive from moisture, rain. We don't have to worry about wrapping the hives or anything like that. So we don't have any winters or something like that. The temperatures are always warm. So really, we just want to make sure we're protecting the hive from the rain. So I don't think we actually need an inner and an outer cover. And at home with my migratory pallets, I just use a standard migratory lid that is only an inner and outer cover in one piece. So sort of the same thing as that. With it on top, I do have the upper entrance in the lid. The lid is about 1/8 of an inch larger all the way around. So it will help shed some of the water. If it does rain, it'll keep the water out of the hive. And then the bees will propolize it down anyways. So there's my hives complete. Barbados flag themed. I think they look awesome. And that's half the fun of doing a hobby beekeeping situation. It's just having fun doing it. Make your hives look the way you want. Have fun with your hives. I'm now gonna start. We dug out this section here. It was full of broken concrete and stuff. I'm gonna fill that section in with some sand at the back and then topsoil at the front. Plant some bushes and things in front. The hives are gonna sit back by the fence back there on some cinder blocks. And then hopefully we get bees. We did find some frames and plastic foundation, unassembled. I'm gonna do a video on assembling frames. I haven't assembled a frame in 10 years, I wouldn't think. Back home, you just buy them already assembled. They're almost the same price as buying them unassembled. And back home, my time is worth something. Here, I have lots of time. So I'm going to do a video on putting together frames with foundation. I'll get them done, and then hopefully, when I get those done, we get the bees, they show up. Everything is Barbados time here. So when you're dealing with bees or anything in a different culture, things move faster or slower. At home, a lot of our time is spent up rushing around, running in circles, worrying about getting things done. And other cultures are much more advanced than ours, and they understand that why do something today when you can enjoy your life and do it tomorrow. Anyways, everybody have a great day. Look for that next video coming out. Enjoy everything you're doing. Get the hell outside wherever you are. Enjoy your life and live the best life you can live. Have a good one.